Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and today I am bringing to you probably one of the most unique books I might have ever read in my life, and I loved it. I know that's kind of a spoiler for the end here, but I really loved this book. Now, this is a book that I read through Readsy Discovery, which is a program that I'm a part of where I get to read different books in exchange for an honest review. So this is my honest review. I'm not being paid to do this review. There is a way to take tips on Readsy, but I don't do that because I just want to read good books and have fun reading them. And especially on Readsy Discovery, a lot of times the books come from smaller publishers or indie publishers. And so I am always all about supporting indie authors, supporting small publishers, because they have so many great stories to tell, but they just don't always have the ability to get the word out about them. So here's a small way to get the word out about an amazing, amazing book. It's book one in the Mystery of the Haunted Library series by Carole Marsh, The Trembling Tower Library of Timbuktu. Now, like I said, this is a very unique book. And I so wish I could show you the inside of this book. I only have this book digitally. I don't have a print copy. And I think in print, this book would be incredible. So this book is a part narrative, so like part regular narrative reading book, part graphic novel, part nonfiction, but it never feels like nonfiction. So when I read that it was part graphic novel, part nonfiction, I thought, what in the world is this? And I was wondering if the nonfiction parts were going to be taking over the story and kind of be real edutainment kind of material, but it was not. The nonfiction parts of this are woven into the story so well that you are learning things, but you don't even know that you are. And it was so fascinating. The basic premise of this book is that Carole Marsh, who is the author of the book, is also a character in the book. She takes these four kids on a tour to see a haunted library, which in this case is a library in Timbuktu. And they're on a quest to figure out what is the best book ever. Like, what's the best book in the world? What is the best book ever? And so the kids are trying to figure out what is the best book ever. They are trying to solve this mystery because they know there's an answer out there and they want to find it. And they think if they go to the library at Timbuktu, they might just find it. So there are great illustrations in this book. Whenever a book is illustrated, I'm not going to lie, I am super picky. If a book has bad illustrations, I don't love it. I really don't. And if a book cover has a kind of a bad cover, I really don't love it. But the illustrations in this book are so awesome. It reminded me of old school Tintin comic books. Like, that is exactly the kind of vibe that this had. It was like an old school Tintin kind of graphic novel, along with all the adventure. There's literally thunder and lightning outside my house right now. And speaking of haunted libraries, I just heard that huge thunder. I don't know if the camera caught that or not, but so in this book, there's even a little fluffy dog that reminded me of Snowy from Tintin. It was so great. I loved it so much. The art direction's incredible. And there are sections where this turns into like a graphic novel format. There are even activities in this book, like mazes. And this, I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't think you can actually describe this book very well to a reader until they have it in their hands and they're reading it and they are blown away. I think kids are going to love these books. This is the first book in this series. There's going to be more, and she's going to travel to more libraries around the world, which I think is such a great idea to get kids interested in reading, talking about reading, and talking about books, because that's really what this is about. There's also a subplot going on here where Carole Marsh, her character, has been told, like, don't go to Timbuktu. And the whole time you're trying to figure out, why was she told not to go to Timbuktu? This is an interesting mystery. Now, I will say this. I do think that this skews younger, so it's not exactly middle grade in my opinion. It's more like an early reader book, which I think really works for the format of it. I think a kid in middle grade could read this and have a lot of fun with it. It would be like a really easy, quick read. I read this pretty fast because there are so many illustrations, there's so many graphic novel segments. So I read this really pretty quick. And so I think a kid in middle grade, they would enjoy it and have fun with it, but I think early readers are gonna love it the most. And I think that's perfect because this is a book all about books and reading and finding out like what is the best book ever. And I am not gonna spoil that because this is a spoiler-free review. So this book has so much charm, so many great characters. I thought the kids were all super fun to follow. They had quirky moments that were pretty funny. I laughed out loud a couple of times while reading this book. And Carole Marsh as a character, I just gotta say, I really want to meet Carole Marsh in real life because the character of Carole Marsh is hilarious and so great. She's a little bit of a diva and I kind of love it. I think it's perfect because she's like working on solving these mysteries with these kids, taking them around the world, and I think it's just a lot of fun. Carole Marsh's character really reminded me of Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus. I just kept getting those Miss Frizzle vibes the entire time. So it's kind of like if you take Tintin over here, you take Miss Frizzle over here, you take a splash of edutainment, you take a splash of spooky stuff, because there is some spooky moments in this book with the haunted library of Timbuktu. And you throw it all in a graphic novel blender with a little bit of nonfiction, a little bit of narrative, and you get this book. And I think it works really well. Like I said at the beginning, I wasn't sure what this was going to be like. And I don't think you really can know until you read it. But it works. It works so well. I think the illustrations breaking it up kind of makes it very unique and something unlike anything I've ever read before. This was very much a unique reading experience, and I absolutely loved it. I enjoyed this book so much, and I want to read the next one because I thought it was just that much fun to read through the storyline. So, it's raining so hard outside. It is raining so hard, which is the perfect time to talk about this spooky book. In fact, I would give this first book in the Mystery of the Haunted Library series a definite 5 out of 5. I thought it was so much fun. I enjoyed it so much. Definitely check this one out if you like these kinds of books that have a little bit of edutainment, a little bit of story going on, and a lot of fun illustrations. This is right up your alley, especially if you have a kid who is an early reader. They are going to love this. Even if they're a reluctant reader, I think they would really enjoy this. This would also be a really fun bedtime read-along book because there's so many fun moments and just fun interactions and different things and there's good cliffhangers at the end of chapters too. So it would be a really fun read-along book. So until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.